Hi there. Come on in. I'm Fred Trost, and I'm with trophy fisherman Don Volke. Don, you're from Mount Clemens. Go ahead, Don. Brag it up.
Well, took the first place in the opening of the Musky season on Lake St. Clair with the Michigan-Ontario Musky Club.
This is your trophy. What else did you win?
Oh, $1,200 and a couple other trophies.
What kind of fish deserves a trophy like this? Well, I'll give you a hint here. It's caught on a rod and reel about this size, and this is the lure. You want to see the fish? Well, stay tuned. In just a moment we will, because it's Thursday night and time for Michigan Outdoors.
From the rugged shore and woodlands of the north, it's history of copper mines and iron ore, the Great Lakes fisheries. To the farmlands of the southern counties we'll look around again, in all that waits the sportsman in the state of Michigan.
Here it is, the muskie that won the tournament for Don Volke. Don, tell him how big it is.
31 pounds, 14 ounces.
Wow, almost 32 pounds. Well, Ned Fogle from the DNR Fisheries Division, this is a little larger than the average muskie that comes out of Lake St. Clair, but how big are they normally?
Well, we get quite a few of them in 15, 18, 19 pounds, somewhere in that class, out of Lake St. Clair, and we do have a minimum size limit of 38 inches, so you can see we have large fish over there.
I guess so. Well, Don, everybody knows you hardly ever catch muskie. They're so difficult to catch. I happen to know it 45 minutes after the season opened, you hooked this one.
Yeah, that's right. We did it.
And what happened when it hit?
Oh, God, she came right out of the water.
Tail walking and that?
Tail walking, and it just stripped off about 100 feet of line.
Oh,
right off the bat.
That must have gave you goosebumps.
Oh, God. Adrenaline was flowing.
Well, you know, you catch, set it right down there, Don. You catch these fish on lure about this size. Look at the size of the lure. This is one of the most popular types, the drifter believer lure here. But, Ned, what do these things eat? What do you feed them, household pets?
Just about. Oh, they can take a very large fish, and that's actually would be a small fish for them. As you can see, the size of their mouth is tremendously large, and a 12-inch fish wouldn't be anything for them to swallow down.
What pound test line do you use for these?
We use a 30-pound test braided line on all custom rods, Penn 309s.
Trolling?
Trolling, we always troll for them.
Yeah. Where are they found? They found deep or on the surface, or where?
Well, Lake St. Clair is shallow, relatively shallow, so they're not fishing that deep.
Off reed beds?
Well, we fish, sometimes we don't run any weights at all. It's just a foot, 2 under the surface, and sometimes we're right on the bottom.
Is musky fishing tough? Easy, medium, what?
It can be boring at times. You can be out there for 2 days and not get anything at all.
Wow. Well, Ned, how are the musky numbers in Lake St. Clair?
The population is up. We have a very good population of fish, and it's probably one of the top musky fishing places in the world.
We're going to be going out there a couple times this summer, musky fishing and walleye fishing. Go ahead, Don, pick this up again. Give these folks a look at a 31-pound Great Lakes muskie.
3114.
3114. Excuse me, Don. Okay, that's a great fish. Don Volke from Mount Clemens caught it. The opening day of muskie season. There's a lot more of those fish out there to catch, and of course you can go out and get some. But you, Don Volke, are our trophy angler of the week. Congratulations on that great fish. You're never going to be able to catch a trophy like that if your line is weak, or especially if you tie a bad knot. And our knot specialist, fishing specialist, Bob Knopf. Bob from the Berkeley Line Company in Spirit Lake, Iowa, came here to show us about some knots. And last week, Bob, you showed us what's called the trilene knot. The strongest knot, and people have been writing in for these little cards that explain how to tie the trilene knot. That's about 90% of knot strength. But no matter what type of knot an angler ties in his monofilament line, it could be weak or strong depending on how he ties it, right?
Well, you can tie a good knot and a bad knot, even if you're tying the same knot each time.
Okay, give us a demonstration here of tying a knot. You're using some line which tests out on our machine at about 12.9 pounds test, and you're going to tie your favorite knot, the trilene knot.
What you do, and whatever knot you tie, I'll try to tie the trilene knot here. Whatever knot you do tie, there's a few things that you can do to make sure it's a good knot. The first thing to do is to just simply tie it carefully. And this can be hard to do if you've caught a nice fish and you know where some fish are and you want to get your line back in the water.
So tie it along carefully. How come? What goes wrong?
Well, if you get in a hurry, you usually make fewer wraps around the main line, and that'll weaken it, and it can pull free.
Okay, now, when you pull this knot down,
I've tied this knot, and I haven't pulled it tight yet. But what I'm going to do now is wet it through more reps. And what that does is that makes it moist so that when you pull it tight, and you should pull the knot tight very slowly, it'll reduce the friction in that knot and the heat buildup. Okay. And that's an enemy when you're tying a fishing knot.
So tie the knot slowly and tighten it down slowly.
Real slow. When you pull that tight, if you jerk it or pull it tight, it can heat that line up right down close to the knot, and then the knot will break at that point.
Well, we could go to a slide right now showing two different knots that may look similar. Now, they are tied in different color line, but the thing is, one of those knots could be weak because it was tied improperly, even though they look the same.
Right.
Okay, let's talk about heat just a second. This is interesting. You run a test that I couldn't believe. You folks at home might want to try this. Go down in your basement, get some line off your fishing reel. This is about 10-pound test line. Have somebody pull it tight like this. Just put some tension on it. Now, Bob is going to rub this line very quickly.
What I'm going to do is rub this, and this simulates what happens when you pull a knot tight.
Look at that.
Just pops on you.
It pops.
It right up.
It pops when just a little bit of friction is applied, but look at the end of the line. It didn't just break. That's not a clean break. And if you feel that, it feels like it's been burned. Significantly weakens the line. You could do this with 50-pound test line and have it just almost disintegrate in your hands. So I suppose it's not a good idea to take a knot like this and take a match or a cigarette or something and try to heat it to melt it.
A lot of people clip off this loose end here with their cigarette, and then when they do, they're heating the whole knot, and that'll weaken it quite a bit. It's better to clip it off cleanly.
Well, show us how you clip it off.
When you clip it off, you have to be really careful, too. A lot of people just slide their clippers along the line and then nick it off. Well, what you have to do is be sure that you don't nick the knot.
Don't even touch it with
You
this.
don't want to get anywhere near the knot.
Well, you have a slide here of this is a clinch knot, which is tied and tied properly, and that's what it looks like, magnified. No nicks, no scratches, the blade has been kept away from the knot. Now we go to a knot where the angler has been a little hasty. What does it take to make a nick like that in a line?
All you have to do to nick your line is simply touch the clippers right up against the knot. Just a little bump is all you need.
And then I imagine under the pressure and the tension, that'll open right up. And
pop it right open, and it'll break well below the actual strength of the knot.
Okay, now, on this line testing machine, we have a tri-lane knot, which has been wetted, which has been pulled down slowly and tied carefully. Now, this tested out at about 12.9. Let's see what it comes out as far as the strength goes. 11.7. We're talking 90% knot strength, Bob. Congratulations on that knot. Now, this should help you anglers. Also, Berkeley Company has given us quite a few of these brochures, how to get the most out of your fishing line. This has all the information in it on how to tie a knot, tricks on tying it carefully, and it's really going to help you out a lot for catching those trophy fish. Thanks an awful lot, Bob. We're going to have you back later on this summer talking about fishing line. Right. But right now, speaking of trophy fish, let's go to our trophy report. Since this week is National Fishing Week with the theme Take a Kid Fishing, let's feature our junior anglers. Here's the first trout that Matt Brandt from Acosta had ever caught using a minnow on a tip-up. Matt hauled in this 5-pound brown trout from Burt Lake back on March 6th. That's a nice-looking fish. And look at what a 7-year-old can catch. A 16-pound Chinook on 10-pound test line. Little Harold LaRock caught it last fall at Berrien Springs. Don't underestimate the power of a 7-year-old. And even 6-year-olds can surprise you. Here's Todd Moriarty from Portland, Michigan. He went out on opening day of trout season this year off Saugatuck Pier with his dad. Of course, the season goes year-round on the Great Lakes, but this 7-pound brown was Todd's first trout. That's one happy boy. But I guess in our tradition, which leans towards size in fish, we'll make 10-year-old Adam Reister from Woodland our junior trophy angler of the week for his 25-pound Chinook he caught last July off Ludington. Now, big fish are fun to look at, lots of fun to catch, but let's make sure that every kid who goes fishing gets a pat on the back just for trying, whether he catches anything or not. Hats off to you kids. This is your week in Michigan Outdoors. Well, now is the time of the year for youth, not just young fishermen, but young wildlife. Glenn Dutterer, our resident wildlife extension agent here from Michigan State Cooperative Extension Service. No, this is the time of year when everybody wants to pick up baby animals.
This is the time of year for baby animals, for sure.
Well, let's go up to the Houghton Lake Deer Research Station and pick up part 2 on our story, where we were last week. Of course, we've got a couple 12-hour-old fawns that were in the pens. Aren't they cute? We couldn't keep our hands off them, so it's understandable why people would want to. But really, you should leave them alone in the wild. What we're doing here at the Deer Research Pens is we're picking them up soon after they're born to take them into the area where they prepare them, give them some medication and some preventive medicine that deer in the wild don't get. So you're going to see what happens to the 12-hour-old fawn.
Now, what are you going to do first here, John?
Okay, well, I'm going to wash its ears with some alcohol to begin with. This one here is a female, and now I'm going to put a metal tag. This tag's got 8235. This would be the 35th fawn born this year. On females, we put the metal tag on the left ear.
Going to hurt her? Smart little bit?
Oh yeah, they'll sometimes they react to this. Sometimes they don't. Well, see, she
didn't say a word.
she's being real cooperative.
Well, that just pierced right through the cartilage.
All right, and then
Plenty of room for growth there on that tag.
right, that's when we put it out towards the edge, so when the ear grows, she'll have room to grow. Okay, now that's the metal tag. Now we'll put the tattoo in.
Now, why do you do both?
Well, in case the deer loses that metal tag somewhere along the line, we'll still be able to identify the deer from the tattoo in the opposite ear. Now this will be the same number as the metal tag.
Okay, now what type of future does this little female fawn have here at the research station?
Well, we'll eventually be putting her on some type of nutritional study. Probably when she might be going on a study this fall. We might wait until. Can you bring that over closer to the edge there? Yeah, okay, thanks. We might wait until she's a year and a half, where she'll be sexually mature at that age to be bred, and then put her on a study.
Okay, no, we're going to read that now.
No, I want to work that tattoo ink into those holes. So she's marked for life now.
Okay, and she'll live to be how old do you suppose?
Well, in the pens here, she could live up to 7, 8 years old, sometimes longer.
She'll probably have 5 litters in that time?
Yeah, she'd probably have 5 sets of fawns during that period of time. Okay, now what we've got, this is the paste wormer for controlling parasites.
Are they born with worms like puppies out there?
No, I don't think so, but in a pen situation, you have the opportunity to pick them up, parasites up off the ground a lot more than they would be in the wild.
She can swallow that?
Yeah, she'll swallow that. We give them this paste wormer at birth, 1 week old, and again at 2 weeks old. Mm-hmm. The adults can usually don't have any problem handling the parasites, where the fawns quite often is critical to them.
Now a couple shots.
Okay, yeah, this is here is a long-acting penicillin. Just 1 cc into the hip.
And what will that prevent?
Well, it'll be low pneumonia or anything similar to that. And then this syringe is just a supplemental vitamin A and vitamin D, and a 1/4 cc of this in the hip.
The fawn never had it so good.
Right. They don't get it like this in the wild.
In the wild, of course, an awful lot of them die.
Well, there's probably quite a high mortality rate at birth, and I guess it depends on the type of year, the type of what the weather's like when the fawns are born, and also what kind of winter they had the previous winter. Okay, and one last thing for this one, and it'll be ready to go back, is just an iodine wash on the navel. That'll just be to prevent any infection.
Well, that's quite a process they go through for the deer at Houghton Lake. Glenn, those deer get better treatment than they get anywhere
They
else.
certainly do, but that represents quite a valuable research investment to be able to utilize those deer.
Yeah, we just heard that little fawn there make a squeal. Sounds an awful lot like a sheep.
Well, they are related to sheep and goats.
Cute little things. Boy, but you folks out there who want to pick one up and go out and pick one up, you want to discourage that. But if you just can't resist the temptation and you do touch a fawn or a baby animal, don't think that you have to take it home with you, because the mother will come back to these deer. Now watch this. One of them laid right down in the defense posture. The other one ran up towards the fence as a little gamier. But when the mother comes by, she'll check both of these fawns. And even if you've touched a fawn, the mother will come back later, sometimes several hours. Watch her. She'll swing through here. She checks the one fawn. It's laying down. She checks that one. It lays down, and off she goes. Now, that's what happens in the wild, and people think that the mother is not around, even if they come back 2-3 hours later.
Not only with deer, with lots of animals. The mother's usual strategy is to get away from the young, either to lead you away or not to indicate the presence of the young by her presence.
She might be laying down 50 yards, 100 yards away, laying down that tightly for a couple hours, too.
Sure.
So don't be misled by those deer. Leave them alone, please. Now we have some cute little critters. Oh, peep, peep, peep. I'll get him. These are little baby pheasants. How old are these, Glenn?
These are about a week old.
Boy,
A little bit more than a week.
I've got the mouthy one right here. A week old, but whoa! I'll get it. Glenn, you hold down the fort here. Oh, golly. This happens when you get wildlife. I got it. Don't tell me that having wildlife on a television show doesn't present some problems. You saw how these little things run. They're survivors. Whoa!
Gonna do it again.
I'm going to hold him fairly tightly.
Yeah.
Well, the pheasants are being hatched out right now.
This is the time of year, the first 2 weeks in June, when they begin to hatch, and Mom begins to lead them around the fields, and we start to see them about this size, too. This is also the time of year, unfortunately, when farmers have to cut their hay to get the most out of it, and we lose a lot of pheasants in hay cutting.
Yeah, they get wrapped up in the bales, and it's very unfortunate. We can't criticize the farmers, though. They've got to make a buck, and making a buck is tough enough nowadays.
Very much so, and more important, early cutting of hay, particularly alfalfa hay, is used to control weevils, and that's much better than using pesticides.
Well, that's for sure. I'm going to put him down there. We're going to look at a couple things here, Glenn. For pheasant hunters, the number of pheasants that have been harvested over the years, look at how back in 1937, where it was, and we follow through the years up and down and up and down and up and down. It's not consistent at all.
I can offer an explanation for this peak. That matches beautifully the soil bank era, but I can't explain this increase prior to soil bank, and I certainly don't have an explanation for that jump in 74.
And look at this. I have something else for you to explain. Look back in 1972, the pheasant density map. Now, over in the thumb here, hardly any pheasants. In these dark areas is where the concentration were. That's 1972. Here we have 1979. No concentration there, a little bit more here, but the hot spots in the middle of the state, and 1980. Look at that. The density is in the thumb.
That's the reverse. High density here and low here of what it was in 72.
Well, the turkey hunters, the duck hunters, a lot of groups have gotten together, organized, and gotten extra monies kicked in to do some pheasant or some habitat work. What do you think about this for pheasants?
Look what it's done for turkeys. Look what it's done for deer since that license increase in 72. If you get what you pay for, and if pheasant hunters are interested, perhaps they need to organize and consider something like that.
You folks that want to take a kid fishing to commemorate National Fishing Week, take a kid fishing week. A great way to do it is to go out with the bluegill and move down to the beds like Stan Levency did with my son Zachary when he was 9 years old. It is really easy. Just watch.
Take it. Oh, he got off. Hey, Zach, we're on the shores of a southern Michigan lake. It's spawning time. You'll notice the saucer-shaped depressions out there. Those are bluegill beds. We're going to try catching these fly casting. I think the sponge rubber spider, which is a floating imitation, is probably as good as you can get for bluegills. Now, fly fishing is kind of an art. I think the thing what we'll do is just get you into it and criticize you as you go along. You're a lefty here, so hold the line with your right hand. You're going to do your casting with your left hand. I'm going to drop this fly. You just kind of ignore the fly, and you're going to try to cast the weight of the line. Now I'm going to help you from the start, just to give you a little feel. So what we do...
Zach couldn't have had a more experienced fisherman or accomplished fly caster as an instructor than Stan Levenseem. His patience and enthusiasm are both very helpful to 9-year-old Zach.
Lining up on your line, pull in some more, bring it to your fingertips, drop the other. That's it. That's the way you're going to bring a fish in too. Oh, we're loose. All right, go ahead. Let her go. All right, cast it way out now if you can. And very good. The next time, though, you want to pause a little bit before you come in your forward cast. Try another one. You're not out quite far enough, even though there is a little sunfish down there. Beautiful. You're out there. Watch it now. Watch it. You're right in that area. You're right in the area. Give it a little life. A little life. Twitch it a little bit, then let her sit. Get ready if a fish takes. I don't see any takers yet. Now, our problem is that we're not getting the fly out far enough. The fish are seeing us and they're wary. So we've got to learn to cast a little bit further. Now, the whole secret of fly fishing is you hold this line here. What you're going to do is, let me just go through the motions. Cast up, stop, pause, and cast out. Okay? Get her coming, cast back, pause, and go out. But the secret is you stop right above you, you pause a little bit, and then whoop her out forward. See how much further we got her? Now we're in a little bit more vulnerable area. Now let's see if we can't entice one of those. Oh, there's one between your fly and shore. See him? That's a sunfish. Maybe we can get him. That's it. Keep bringing your line in. Make it look alive. Make it look alive. That sunfish is liable to take. Watch it. Here he's coming up. He's coming closer. He's going to take. He's going to take. Oh, you took it away from him just a second too quick. That was a good try, though. All right, now we'll go after another one. I think we've got him scared. Let's get her out in that area there. Watch her now. We're in a new area.
Fishing area always holds new anticipation and offers a new promise, no matter what fish you're going after. Zachary's fly casting technique has definitely improved, and he's reaching out far enough where the big bluegill lurk, guarding their spawning beds. You know, you'd think that these two fishermen were going after 25-pound pike or maybe a 31-pound, 14-ounce muskie, the way they're so intent. But that's the way it is in the game of fishing. Concentration and skill, sooner or later, pays off.
Got a ripple out there now, Zach. Did you get that?
The big bluegill smashes the rubber spider, and the battle is on.
Beautiful, beautiful. Oh, that's a beauty. Oh, that's a beauty. Rod high. Rod high. Just have a lot of fun with him. You got him coming. Walk a little bit toward the lake. Toward the lake. There you are. Ooh, look at him go. Look at him go. Ooh, look at him go.
Look at it. There's a couple of them.
Yeah, there's a bass down there, too. Look at those other ones following. They don't know what's going to... Oh, it's a bass that's following. Oh, look at that bass chasing them. Okay, bring him in, old buddy. I think you got the fight out of him pretty much. We'll get a good look at him. Oh, that's a... Oh, you're not going to bring him in so easy. Beautiful. Oh, fine. Look at that snake. That is a beauty.
A 9-inch bluegill is a real beauty. They don't often come that large in Michigan, although there are places like this one where the big ones exist. Generally, it's private lakes where you find the larger gills, but there are a number of bluegill each year that go over a pound that are caught in public waters. Bluegill like that, a great way to take a kid fishing. Of course, a good place to catch big bluegill in this state is Houghton Lake, right there. And last week, we had the Michigan Outdoor Writers Conference at Houghton Lake. And, well, the writers aren't traditionally known for catching a lot of big fish, but I tell you, we did pretty well. Ed, come here. I want to brag about my trophy of the week. Well, I don't think anything wrong with it, Fred. How big is that fish? This is about 4 pounds, 25-inch walleye, caught out of Houghton Lake. With, on what? Now, on what? Let's see, we used a crankbait at midnight, Saturday night. But you think this was a good one. Ken Peterson of the Flint Journal, we got some slides of him and his fish. Look at that. Holding it up to the camera, that's a bass. How big do you suppose it is? 5 pounds. Nope. Next slide here, we'll
6
see.
pounds.
That's a 6-pound bass. But you know, if that wasn't bad enough, look at that. He caught 2 of them. The small one was 5 pounds. He caught those on poppers, you know, in the middle of the day with a fly rod on the west shore. And this walleye here was my trophy. Hey, good fishing this weekend. Get out there and enjoy it in Michigan Outdoors. See you next week.
From the rugged shore and woodlands of the north, its history of copper mines and iron ore, the Great Lakes fisheries. To the farmlands of the southern counties we'll look around again, and all that waits the sportsman in the state of Michigan. Sometimes when the moon brings out the diamonds in the snow, and the stillness of the forest lies encased in Arctic cold, the wind might whisper through the trees, listen if you can, it tells you of the beauty in the state of Michigan.